I've worked for the UN for a long time, for 7 years. A big chunk of my career has looked at ending violence against women. So we set up programs in 5 pilot cities around the world on how to design social change for women and girls in public space. Lots of public spaces are designed from a men's perspective on how it's safe to cross the street, where to sit, how parks are lit, transport. These are all gender neutral spaces. But this program was looking at how can we look at cities from a gender perspective? How do we create public space to be more safe and inclusive for women and girls? If I'm walking home at night in a slum in Nairobi and I can't see my hand in front of me, how do you think that makes me feel? If I'm in South Africa and taking public transport and I'm being sexually harassed and touched and there's no accountability or policies to respond to that, what is the follow-up? What's the action? But really, to solve some of these major problems, violence against women, the housing crisis, environmental issues, we have to think about these creatively. Many times we separate who we are as an artist, as a painter, as a dancer, as a singer from our career, as a professor, as a doctor, as a lawyer. We say, oh, I go to the office, but on the side, I do my art. It's my passion, it's my hobby. What would happen if we aligned our passion, our hobby, and our careers, and our missions and our social purpose? I moved to Kenya after working for the UN in New York for many years, and I started connecting to my life as a dancer for the first time, aligning my work with dance with my work with the UN. So I always kept these separate. I was terrified that the staff at the UN would find out that I was a dancer doing music videos. I was actually even a judge on So You Think You Can Dance Kenya. And my worst nightmare would be that colleagues at the UN would say, oh, we saw Vandana on TV. But then I realized that why do I keep hiding these pieces of who I am from each other? What happens if I bring them together? So I started teaching dance workshops on women's rights alongside doing empowerment trainings. So instead of separating my workshops with the UN, I started combining them with movement and how you use the body as something political. Going a step further, I started thinking about how can I combine these two worlds? And I started filming a documentary series called We Speak Dance, which will be airing on Netflix on New Year's Day. And it looks at dance, culture, politics, history in cities around the world. I started this journey in Nigeria. And my first investor for this project was a Nigerian prince. And he transferred money into my bank account, not the other way around. So we were very lucky to meet the Fela family, Femi and Yeni Kuti, the daughter and son of Fela, who invented Afrobeat music and dance, which is a revolutionary cry in Nigeria to end corruption in the 60s. And he explained to me, the son of Fela, Femi, that there's a dance for every day in Africa. There's dance for burial, for funeral, for weddings, for every single day. It could be the smallest thing or it could be a major life event, and it's still the case today. And he also talked about the connection between revolution and dance and the political space that you take up with music and art and film and painting. These are all such powerful, potent ingredients to wake up a community, to unite people, to cross gender, race, class divides. Next, we traveled to Vietnam. And in Hanoi, I met the woman who opened the first pole dancing studio. And she's a total badass. And she said that, pole dancing, I was more respected here as a pole dancer than I was in Europe. There's less stigma here in sexualization of women's bodies than in Belgium, where I lived before. So she did a public performance for us in the streets of Hanoi, pole dancing. And it was the first demonstration this way. And she says it's for women's power, women's rights, and women's autonomy of their body, of being able to express themselves and their sexual identity without having to define that identity for men. It's reclaiming the pole, as I'd like to say. After Vietnam, went to Lebanon. And in Beirut, we met a male belly dancer called Alex. And every day, Alex risks his life by being openly gay in a region that doesn't accept his identity. And not only is Alex open about his sexuality, he also uses dance as protest. In Bali, I learned about dance and sacredness. This is something that I've never put together. In communities in Bali, they have what you call a banjar. Every household has a temple, and that temple, the unity of that community is built and interweaved through dance. There's dance in the temple, which is sacredness. There's dance in the street, which is social. And there's dance on stage, which is performance. But there's another layer here, dance in the temple. What does that mean? In many cultures that I found around the world, from Cuba, Nigeria, Vietnam, to Indonesia, there's a dance to speak to the gods that are thousands of years old. So your body actually becomes the medium to speak to a higher power and to speak to gods, plural. And this is very important because there's a god for each element. What dancers are doing in Jamaica, in Cuba, in New York City, in Portland, Oregon, what we're dancing for is a reflection of our times. It paints a picture of what our challenges are, what our aspirations are, and where we are as a people, as humanity. And if you have an idea or a business or a social impact policy that you are passionate about, I think you can take it that much further when you align it with creativity. Within the UN, so many ways that we talk about our biggest challenges of the 21st century are very depressing. It's re-victimizing. But when we bring in creativity, we can uplift the conversation. We can not only uplift culture, we can redefine culture. I've been inspired by dance activists around the world who are using dance as protest, using their bodies as political weapons. So I'm going to do a short dance as protest for the environment, actually.